Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we are talking about the second installment in the series, the differences between modern spirituality and shamanic spirituality. So, in part 2, we'll talk about some similarities and some differences. So in the first part, I was pretty, harsh on, the modern spirituality, and I mean, it has a lot to do with my own personal feelings about it. But anyway, I prefer shamanic spirituality, and that's just because that's the form of spirituality that our earliest ancestors were practicing, and it's very practical. It's aimed at helping us to live better lives and like the lives that we want to live. So it's an improvement on that. So anyway, yeah. So in this installment, I'll be talking about some similarities. So basically some similarities are that, in the modern spirituality, we have something called it's called sacred geometry, okay? So I'm going to be talking about some similarities. So we have, in modern spirituality, we have sacred geometry. In the Vedic system, they have things called yantras. And so if you have ever heard of the Shri yantra, this is basically the same thing as sacred geometry. And when you have a yantra made of copper, or I forget the material that it's made out of, but anyway, it's some kind of a metal conductive material. But when you set that on your altar and you speak into it, and you're doing your mantra along with your yantra, that activates the geometry, and it basically creates a portal for the deity to sit on, so that the deity can that you're working with can interface with you better. So yeah, that's pretty much what some similarities. Another similarity would be affirmations. In modern spirituality, we're all about the affirmations and telling ourselves good job and giving ourselves pep talks. But in the Vedic, or in the shamanic culture, that would be mantras. That would be speaking a pattern of words over and over and over again. And this is because we have meridians all over our mouths, and so when we're saying words, that hits certain meridians, and that activates our energy body. So that activates certain meridians, and the meridians correspond to certain things. So that's one way of explaining how mantras work. Another way of explaining this would be that, when we change the inside, we change the outside. So working on our internal systems will affect our external. Okay, so it's kind of like another portal too. Like what mantras do is they basically get you to tune in with a certain frequency, and so the more you vibrate that through your vocal cords, through through your chest and through your body. It vibrates like your entire body, and it goes into this certain frequency. That frequency is associated with the deity that you're worshiping, or the deity that you are interacting with. So, for example, Shiva. The Om Namah Shivaya mantra would be at the frequency of Shiva. So, another one would be, let's see, I'm trying to think of like the similarities between the modern spirituality and the shamanic spirituality. So another thing would be dreams. So, for example, I was doing astral projection for a while, and then I stopped because I realized, oh, that's really not helping me. It's just an escape mechanism. But shamanic journeying versus actually like lucid dreaming or astral projecting or things like that. So in modern spirituality, we call it lucid dreaming, astral projection, and whatever. And the dog is going crazy. So astral projection and lucid dreaming. Then we have in the shamanic culture, or the shamanic spirituality, we have the shamanic journey. So the shamanic journeying is a little bit different than dreaming or lucid dreaming or astral projecting. It's you're going instead of going into your unconscious fantasies, which is what happens when you lucid dream or you astral project. Those are unconscious fantasies. Okay? So those are fantasies. So when you actually go shamanic journey, that is going into your unconscious. It's like going into the same place, the unconscious, and it's instead of like going into this fantasy, you're actually going into your unconscious to pull out useful information, to get useful information. So, for example, you could do like a shamanic journey to understand what your soul desire is, that kind of thing. So you could do a shamanic journey to figure out what steps you need to take in the future. So things like that. And I'm trying to think about the correspondences between that and this. So, so let's talk about magic for a second. In Western magic, we have the angels, and we have the deities, and we have the gods and whatever we're doing, right? So, but in the shamanic system, those deities are already inside of us. So, so basically another way to say it is like we are pretty much we're like, so it's a different kind of perspective there, because we're not like going to something outside of us. We are activating something within us. So I'm trying to think here. How are we on time? Yeah, we're good. So, okay, so basically, another comparison would be like doing Western magic rituals versus shamanic rituals. So there's a difference there. So instead of, because in Western magic we work with the elements too, but in shamanic magic, there's a different way of summoning the elements. So basically, one is like, so there are a lot of similarities between, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of similarities between, modern spirituality and shamanism. It's just that we've kind of reinvented it with the modern version of it, instead of going back to the old shamanic version of things, where it's more, connected with the earth. It's more grounded in reality. Instead, we kind of, as Westerners, we like to make up our own systems and do things our own way, and kind of so we can understand it. But the shamans had it right the whole time. I mean, another comparison would be the tarot cards for divination. Tarot, okay, versus the runes. Or, yeah. And then we have, we have, of course, Western astrology versus Vedic astrology, Eastern astrology. We have, what else? We have, we have things like life coaches, which I am one, instead of like gurus or like teachers, Same thing, just a different kind of context or, definition. So, I mean, so there are a lot of similarities between the modern spirituality, New Age spirituality, and shamanism. It's just that we kind of reinvented things needlessly in modern spirituality. We have crystals, and we have things like that. We have like, those were always things that were used, but we've kind of reinvented it in a more modern aspect so that we can understand it with our intellect, What's another example? So anyway, I mean, there are tons of examples out there. Let's see. Oh yeah, so there's there's shamanic drumming. There's shamanic drumming, and then there's, the hertz, the frequencies or whatever. So before we had access to technology, we just used shamanic drumming, and that was at whatever frequency, whatever hertz that the that drum was, made out of, and it wasn't designed to resonate at a specific frequency. And they just cut some buffalo hide and put it over a frame thing, and played it, and stretched it out and banged on it. It was pretty rudimentary, pretty basic, but now we've made, things to appeal to our intellect, like what is it, 432 hertz and 444 and 777 whatever. I'm not an expert in any of that. I don't know if that works, but it seems pretty passive and pretty, I don't know, just kind of meh. Pretty, just kind of overcomplicated, overdone, instead of being, simple and natural and, things like that. So, but who knows? Well, it'll be interesting if they do some studies on the brain and things like that to see how that interacts with our, our brain. But, before we had all that, we had mantras, we had yantras, we had shamanic drumming, we had the runes to divine, we had we had shamans. We had shamans to go to for counseling and all kinds of stuff. Shamans were basically the psychologists and counselors and therapists and gurus and teachers and spiritual teachers and masters of their day. Shamans were the ones who bridged the gap between physical reality and spiritual reality, and they are one and the same. It's just that, it's just a different way of going about the same thing, So, for example, I've talked about this before, but it's basically, if you want to get something done, let's say, you can take physical steps to do that, but if you run into a roadblock or you don't know how to proceed, that's when you would go to the spiritual teacher, and he would give you a mantra, he would give you a yantra, some kind of a tool for you to use, some energy work up here, to kind of break past that barrier and to figure things out, figure a way around that, So, so that's what spirituality was used for. It was used for, I want to get from A to B, but I don't know, there's this block in front of me. So how do I do that? And so you would go to the shaman and he would tell you, you need to do this. You need to do daily spiritual practices. You need to do daily energy work. You need to do mantras, which are available at vincent.thunderwizard.com. Things like that. You need to do, meditation, things like that. So, yeah. So you guys got the hint. So, alright guys, so I think that's about all I have to say for this one. In summation, modern shamanism, or modern spirituality, is basically a newer, revamped version of prehistoric shamanism. But it's just, made for the modern age, and I prefer to stick with the one that was, came naturally from our evolution. So, yeah. And once again, guys, I don't know if you know this, but our bodies are like vortexes of energy. Our bodies are vortexes of energy. They are batteries. They are, powerful portals of energy, basically. And so when you do the stuff that I teach, like the Qigong, like the self-transformation challenge, like the Qigong, you can tap into that energy portal. And basically our bodies are made to interact with the universe. so when you do these spiritual practices, you will tap into the universe. You will tap into the ascended masters. You'll tap into people, ascended masters and guides, guardians, your ancestors, the angels, the aliens who want to give you who want to, spiritual beings who want to give you information and tell you how to be more effective, and give you, guidance and intuition and teachings and all this stuff. So when you do this stuff, you can tap into the higher dimensions. You can tap into the the beings, the spiritual beings, and have them help you. So anyway, yeah. So without further ado, I will let you guys go. Once again, please check out my channel, or my my websites, gabbotheshaman.gumroad.com. We have vincent.thunderwizard.com. We have patreon.com/gabbotheshaman. So there you go. Check those out, and we will talk to you next time. Peace. Take care, guys. And what should I sign out with? I've been trying to think about that. Follow your soul. I think that's a good one. So we'll see. We'll experiment with some stuff. Talk to you later. Follow your soul.